The comeback kids have done it again. How do the West Virginia Mountaineers pull off this improbable victory? We don't want to do it this way, but I'm sure glad we did anyways.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and I am your host here. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking Mountaineer hoops tonight, and so glad to be doing so, obviously, alongside of you. And thanks for being here as we dive into another episode of the show in what has become, it seems like this team's MO here recently, as they've decided to become the heart attack kids and have comebacks late in games. It's been crazy, man. So this episode going to be brought to you by our friends at, I think it's Mazda today. Let me make sure I clicked the wrong tab here. There we go. Yeah, we're going to be brought to you by Mazda. Right now, guys, with Mazda, we put the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment and putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward with Mazda, because there's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. And thanks for making us your first listen, guys, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we're going to be talking about your team of the Mountaineers every single day. Thank you guys so much for being so faithful. And we're not alone here. We've got somebody in here that obviously knows as much ball as anybody that I know. And he's the guy that I'm sure is as happy as I am to get this dub tonight. Troy from Mountaineer Moment, man. What happened, man? Like, I had chalked this game up to a loss.
Yeah.
With as much time as 7-8 minutes to go. It didn't feel good, did it?
It sure didn't. And I was in the same boat you were. I was counting it as a loss. I was, like you do in mid-February when you want your team to make the tournament, I'm trying to think through scenarios and think through, well, we're cooked. And that's the solution that I came up with, before this game turned around. I was like, I called it a must-win pregame, so I'm not going to change up on that now. And there were moments, it seemed like, we'll talk about it, obviously, balanced attack. And it seemed like there were just moments where this player dominated for 2 minutes, this player dominated for 2 minutes, this player dominated for 2 minutes. There were little mini like hot streaks that Belo had, that Jasper had, that Honor Huff had, and that just led to this comeback. Jasper Floyd, though, oh my goodness, his best game as a Mountaineer by far, in my opinion.
Yeah. As much impact as he's had on a game, maybe since the opening game of the year.
Yeah.
And, what a defensive performance on a guy that we would have loved to have had in Falks. Obviously was really close to being a Mountaineer. And so maybe he regrets that decision now. In all seriousness, though, man, this is a game for those listening on audio. West Virginia wins this game 74-67. Don't let the score fool you. UCF dominated the majority of this game, or dominated maybe too heavy of a word, but they were in control for most of this game. West Virginia was experiencing the same problem it's been having for the last 7 or 8 games now, which is offensive woes. I think they go 2 for 17 in the first half or something like that. Just an awful shooting night until it wasn't, and you erase a 14-point halftime, 14-point second half deficit for the second game in a row. I mean, you can't continue to survive like this, but we'll take it. Obviously, this is a road team that has been decent this year. This was a home team, though, that had been elite 12-2 this year in their home arena. I don't take this win lightly, Troy. What do you say?
Oh, it must win. And you somehow, some way found a way to get it done. And, if you think just big picture and compare this win to what other teams around you in the Big 12 did, or other teams that, might be listed ahead of you right now when it comes to NCAA tournament, this one's hard to top because you beat a team on the road in comeback fashion. You beat a team that's projected to be in the field. And so a road win in mid-February when you're fighting for your life, that feels really good. And so it's big. The announcers I thought they did an excellent job, despite the FS1 issues in that first half. That was unbelievable.
Yeah,
But
I
I
went to
thought they
complain
did a
about
really good
ESPN and it
job.
was FS1.
Yeah, I know. I thought they just did a really good job of speaking to the importance of this game for both teams.
Hunter Huff with 21 points in this game. I don't know how he has 21 points in this game. It felt like he made minimal impact until late. He made his free throws. I think that's where he got a lot of his points. There's no doubt that Jasper with the 17 and the elite defense was great. Lorient played well. Moore played well. It's turned those four guys have kind of turned into your four, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting because Eagle staff continues to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Tread water, maybe. I feel like he plays really hard. Like he gives 1,000% effort at all times, in my opinion. Like he sprints back down the floor. He plays really hard, but it's like at this point, with this many games left, it is what it is with him. Like I think he had some nice moments in today's game going to the rim.
Yeah.
He had some nice moments where he hit some bad ones where he was blocked too. I just wish that, I wish there was some consistency there, but at the end of the day, you get a win. I don't mean to be too harsh on Trey at all, but it sucks, man, because you thought he turned it around with his back-to-back. What do you have, 4 games in a row where he had 20? And that's kind of fallen off a little bit now. Although he wasn't horrible tonight by any stretch compared to other games, it wasn't
right.
You don't have that second option like you need, and when we're going to shooting as badly as it almost undersells how good our defense is and what it does for us, because without our defense playing as well as it does, we should be blown out of most games here recently.
Yeah, it's amazing that, even the loss on Sunday to Texas Tech, you lost by 7 final score and you went 2 for 22 from 3. And meanwhile, they made 13. I can't figure out how that game, if that was the only stat I told you, you would think West Virginia lost by 25 at least. And so, yeah, chalk it up to the defense and just the way this team plays. I did think they ran a little bit more. The announcers noticed that, especially after missed field goals from UCF. You get the rebound, you kind of go. And they did that a little bit. Which helped. And, even with Eagle staff too, I think the most, to me, kind of the head scratching point of all of this season for him, to me, is just like, what do we know about him coming in? That he's an absolute bucket getter who can erupt for 40. Not that I expected him to erupt for 40 on a Big 12 team in West Virginia, but like there hasn't been even a moment this season where he's had like a significant like heat check moment. And that's kind of what you thought about him coming in. And seems like he just hit a bucket here or there, but it's not a heat check. So can you imagine?
Yeah, he hasn't had one of those Honor Huff moments where it's like,
right,
against Cincinnati, you hit 4 threes down the stretch, and it's like, whoa, there it is. That's exactly what's missing. Moments where he I thought he was going to do it. The most I can remember is seeing him hit 2 threes in a row.
Yeah, and
that was against Baylor, because he hit it like right before the half, and we were like, oh, okay. And then just, kind of nothing from there. But, like I said, I think it's just a little bit of a, you try to project guys and sometimes it doesn't always work out. And this staff probably projected him into a role that he just hasn't grown fully into. And that's just the facts of it all. You're not going to get every evaluation right. And there's the mental side of it that you just can't know. There's no way to know, because like this dude literally said in post-game press conferences, I just got to stop reading everything about what people say about me. It's, like it clearly bothering him. So I just think every shot must have so much weight on it for him. And I hate that, because it's got to be tough. But here's another thing that bothered me today real quick before in the first half, the first 3 quarters of the game. How many times do they attack Bowl at the rim and just get absolutely swatted away? Like, I get that you have to keep coming, but man, it was frustrating for me at times to see them going at that guy. And he just, what an amazing defensive player he is. He's going to be wherever he goes is going to be just a game-changing defensive option for teams going forward. That dude can play, Troy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing that, it was a season high in blocks for him, which is like, what do you have, 5?
He had
You
5,
would
yeah.
think, the game that we just watched, you would think he's done that numerous times this season. But obviously, other teams maybe not doing what you're complaining about with this offense driving right at him and getting stuffed. But yeah, he was really good.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, man, you got downhill on him. Here's another thing I wanted to point out really quick. That little mid-range jumper that Amir hits from time to time is so smooth, so buttery smooth. Why can't he do that more?
Yeah.
Like I know it's not as easy as just doing it because like there's obviously resistance, but it's one of the prettier shots of anybody on the team. That mid-range in the middle when he gets it in that circle area. I mean, he's so good there. He's got the potential to be so much better than he is. I just hope people can really realize that because, he obviously defensively it's already there, I think. And well, when he gets in the weight room, if he gets in the weight room, I know Hodge isn't really big on weights like Huggs was, but from a strength standpoint, he's going to get stronger just because he should be going to prom, right? I think he's actually 18. I thought he was 17, but it turns out I think he was actually old enough the entire time. He was just a year older than he should have been. So we'll go to break really quick on that note and talk a little bit more about this team. And obviously the bracketology we should get a nice bump from this. Maybe we'll get in into the bubble range. BYU had a crazy game today in which they won in overtime versus Colorado. They're not playing well and they're on the horizon. There's a lot to get into. We'll talk about the future of West Virginia with Troy from Mountaineer Moment right after the break. Stick around. And, of course, we have to be talking about our friends, and we do love our friends, guys, from, if I can hit the right button here, from Indeed. And, look, when it comes to Indeed, I know I've talked about it a lot here lately, but hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business moving forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing. And look, what that does is it helps people who fit your specific criteria like skills, certifications, and location. And it saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through those mismatches. With sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually fit. And here's a stat that says it all. When the minute I've been talking to you, and companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing, because that's what Indeed's all about. And you can check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit. That's going to help you get the job, the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast, where the terms and conditions apply. If you're hiring, do it the right way. Do it with Indeed. And, of course, FanDuel says hello to you guys. And when it comes to FanDuel right now, we know that the winter games are going on. And no matter how you feel about that, as far as if you're watching it or not, FanDuel is a really good – if you need a reason, FanDuel is the way to do it. Because if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events only to get to see the biggest stage every 4 years, right? And that's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes sense. Medal counts, individual events, finding your angle on the sport you care about most. FanDuel gives you more ways than one to stay connected to the action. You've got hockey, you've got speed skating, you've got horse skiing, which I just found out about this year, which is insanity. The drama of curling matches that start slow and somehow get intense fast. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. With FanDuel, play your game. It's segment 2, and I'm going to crack a due to Troy, who thankfully came on short notice. So thank you for coming on short notice, brother. This due's to you. Let everybody know where you're at, what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Mountaineer Moment. Available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and we do a lot throughout the football and basketball season. So, go give us a follow. We're chasing 500 subs right now over on YouTube, growing channel. We're 148 episodes in, and looking to keep things rolling. We'll certainly have the conversation continuing over there after I wrap up here. So appreciate you having me
There you
on
go.
yet
So
again.
follow him over follow from here, if I can say it. Follow from here over to there. That would be cool. Mountaineer Moment. Pretty easy to remember. And he's got a cool background too. I always like to point that out. It's usually, what is it right now? Orange.
Yeah, we try. It's like a photo paper. I don't want to reveal too many of my secrets, but we try to make it as yellow. We try to make it as gold as possible, Mountaineer gold, but
Oh, okay.
tough.
Sorry. I didn't mean to. All right. So, this game here was fun to watch. I'm glad we clawed back from 14 down. Obviously, we showed some resilience and strong free throw shooting in the second half. I think our offensive flow improved after halftime, particularly in getting to the line. And we hit those high percentage shots, obviously, at the free throw line. And UCF cooled really in key moments late, didn't they, Troy? And which allowed West Virginia to kind of take hold of the lead after trailing significantly. But, moving forward, this tough road win is going to give West Virginia a major resume boost.
Yep.
And in Big 12 play, obviously matters a lot too, because it proves against two teams right now that are mid-tier-ish that you at least you can come back against quality competition. For UCF, they're projected to be in still. I would imagine this probably doesn't knock them out, but it hurts. Yep. For us, it was more important to win this game. I mean, even if I wasn't a West Virginia fan, I could see that, right?
Yep.
And so I think, the fact that you're able to win, you're able to obviously cover because we're not favored in this game, should get you some decent, net points and all those things that they look at. So we're going to pull up the West Virginia schedule here, Troy, because I think at the end of the day, there are some wins to be had. And I really like, after seeing this matchup tonight, I actually like our chances at home versus this team way better than I did tonight on the road. We stole this game. I mean, we did. We stole the game, and I'm good with that. We stole the Cincinnati game too.
Yep.
You got to have a couple of those throughout the year. Like no team goes through a season without doing that. We've had a couple games stolen from us. Like, would I trade the Cincinnati and UCF game for Ohio State and Clemson? You're damn skippy I would, but I can't. So it's fine. It's almost like karmic balance has come back into play here. We've stolen a couple back that we lost earlier in the season, Troy.
Absolutely. That's a huge point. And, the thing that I keep coming back to and I'm sure you're going to touch on this too, but, just this whole bubble conversation. You got UCF, who's maybe on the bubble now. You got Oklahoma State. You got TCU.
Yeah.
Some people keep putting Baylor, and they just squandered another opportunity against
another
Louisville.
one.
They're cooked. They're done. They're done, in my opinion. 3-9, 13-12, they're done. So let's remove.
You see how they keep putting 11 SEC teams in, by the way?
Yeah. So my thing is, though, conference record matters, and we were a Colorado, win against BYU away from being in sole possession of 6th in the Big 12. Right now, we're tied with BYU because they got that win. And I'm just saying, at some point, right, if you're 2 games up or 1 game up on a TCU or Oklahoma State in conference play, at some point you're going to get to a number of wins in Big 12 where they got to put you in. You know what I mean? If you're 4 games over 500, if you get to 11-7 somehow, and I get that that's going to be a lot to ask for, but
I mean, we can make a case here, Troy. We're about to make one.
You're leading into that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because first of all, I want to say this. I know it seems like, let me try to pull you back out to 30,000 feet on that BYU conversation for a second. I understand in a vacuum why you would say you would want them to lose today. I'm going to go ahead and disagree, because I think for them to be as good as they can possibly be when we play them, I think it'll be more impactful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the win against them, not because if they lose this game, they're probably not ranked, right? So, and they probably on the bubble with being ranked as it is. So
right, and if you're talking pure standings, you know what I mean? If you win the head-to-head,
You win the head-to-head, the same thing, right?
And you still could be listed ahead of them in the Big 12 standings.
Correct. So I think both things can happen for you.
Yeah.
And look, you can even, you know what? If we can even lose that game, I think we put ourselves in position here. I said, and I feel right about this, the West Virginia season was going to hinge on the 2 UCF games because here's why. You began with UCF today, coming off a Texas Tech loss, which sucked, but you beat Cincinnati, which kept you alive.
Yep.
Now you've finally beaten a UCF team, right? And now you're 16-9. You're also, what are you in the Big 12 now, Troy?
7-5.
7-5. So you're 7-5 in the league now. You got a chance here with Utah coming to town. I've learned that. Listen, I've learned my lesson. Because we chalked up. Who was
Baylor?
it to Baylor to a win? Yeah, that's right. And it just didn't happen. So I've learned my lesson because that's right. The reason I chalked it up to win is because they would 1-7 in conference. Yeah. So that's why I felt good about that game. But obviously, what I've learned, I saw Utah take Oklahoma State to the brink just a couple games ago. Like I've seen them, like they've got some talent, so they could on any given day beat us. But you feel good about it. You feel good about it going in. So I think West Virginia gets the win versus Utah. Now you're at 17 games. Then you've got a tough TCU team, right? I mean, this is another game that's 50-50. I think they just won against Oklahoma State today, 95-92, if I can remember correctly.
Overtime.
In overtime, overtime game. And, that's a TCU team that's, Jamie Dixon, right? I mean, we've got a lot of history there. And so, but let's say you drop that game. I don't want to be too greedy.
Yeah.
You're going to have to win one versus TCU or Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can get to Utah, if you can split one with TCU or Oklahoma State, and then you can get, Kansas State and UCF down the stretch and lose to BYU. Like, I think you can lose 2 games down the stretch here and still get in. If you win this game coming up, like I said, you're gonna be 17-9 after you beat Utah potentially. Then you're gonna go to TCU. Let's say you lose that, you're 17-10. Let's say you get it, Oklahoma State. That's 18-10. Then you lose to, unfortunately, BYU. That's 18-11.
Right.
But then you go down the stretch and maybe you win the last 2. I don't know, something along those lines. You get to 20.
Yep.
I think that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to get to 20 somehow with the remaining games you got. I don't know what. I mean, the big thing is you've got. I think you're 3-3 down the stretch. You've got 3 at home and 3 on the road. So you're going to have to get. You're going to have to get at least one road win on the way out of here and win all your games at home. But I don't really care what order you do it in. I mean, if I could choose, it would be all road wins.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, guys, I think we're in a good spot here with the teams we had to play. The schedule lightens up here with Utah, TCU, Oklahoma State, all very winnable games. The things that suck about those games is they're on the road, and they're going to be just as difficult as today, Troy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're not entering a game here down the stretch with, the game against UCF included, where you feel no shot of winning.
Right.
Even BYU, like they're struggling, they're ranked, but they're struggling. They've had their fair share of struggles, as we know. And, you don't have an Iowa State. You don't have a Houston. You don't have an Arizona. You don't have a Texas Tech left. You don't have a Kansas left, even though you beat them at home. Like you feel more comfortable. And I said it entering in the UCF game, you have 7 games left, counting today's game. And 4 of those games are against teams that are, according to most, right just ahead of you on the when it comes to the bubble, with UCF twice, with Oklahoma State, with TCU. So like the opportunities are there, and it sucks. It does suck that 3 of those are on the road, but you just won 1 of them on the road. So I agree with you completely. I think a split. Obviously you beat TCU and Oklahoma State both on the road, and you beat UCF at home. I mean, you're looking really, really good in comparison to those teams that are also on the bubble. But I agree.
Yeah.
I think a split TCU Oklahoma State, can't ask for more than that at this point. And then you got to take care of business in the K-State Utah game. You have to.
Yeah, and I mean, look, a guy can dream, right? And it's not like it's impossible for you to go on a run and win out here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's impossible. I know
Yeah.
it's asking a lot for this team with the way they've struggled offensively. If we were just a bit more consistent offensively, I would feel really good about it. Maybe this performance can get you right. I don't know. This with a really bad Utah team coming in, you should be able to win that game. Maybe you get a double digit win there, and you get your mojo going a little bit. Some guys, gain some confidence back. I don't know, but hopefully we can get something rolling there because that would be 2 wins in a row. TCU could be 3 in a row. Like you could get going, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you've won. Let's say you lose 1 or something on the way out of here too, even. And before you know it, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 5-2 down the stretch, or you're 6-1 or 7-0 down the stretch, even.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I would probably be doing backflips, especially if we went undefeated down the stretch going into the tournament. Like, oh my God. And then made a deep run in the Big 12 tournament or something crazy.
Yeah.
I would probably really freak out over that. So we'll
Yeah.
go to break here one more time. We'll finish up with Troy on the other side of the break. Stick around for final thoughts. All right, guys, we got to talk about our friends, and we've always got more friends to talk about with Mazda. And right now with Mazda, Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. That's right, because these remind us of what it takes to really raise the bar. It's that work off the court, giving and dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. We put the same passion in every model because highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count, and there's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Back with Troy from the Mountaineer moment here in Locked On West Virginia in segment 3. And thank you guys so much for being in here with us. And do us a favor and make sure, YouTube analytics say, and it's just a fact for most shows in the world outside of like Mr. Beast or somebody crazy, but like most shows have 60% are new viewers in every episode, which sounds crazy. It sounds almost impossible for, even as niche as what a West Virginia community would be. But even if it's a little lower, there's a lot of new people that watch every episode for the most part. So make sure you're checking out Troy. Make sure you're subscribing here if you're new. We always want that. And like the video as well. Like I don't ask very much. I just go through my episodes. Maybe I don't ask enough. I know Raven and everybody in the chat does a really good job of reminding people. But if you can, just please hit that like button and the whole thing. And we would really appreciate that here before you bounce out because, hey, it's a good day to be a Mountaineer, right? Final thoughts on this game, Troy, as far as obviously, you didn't shoot it great, but I mean, it actually evened out. I mean, first half was horrible. Second half was really good. You shoot 4 for 20 from 3. I think that's the one thing I look at and think that's just got to change. Like, there was a stretch there where it was like if West Virginia hits 10 threes, they're in pretty good shape to win the game. That was happening a lot early in the year.
Yeah.
What's happened? Like, has Honor Huff cooled off, or have people played him different, or is it both? What do you think?
They've definitely played him different. I mean, McCaslin and Texas Tech, that was otherworldly kind of defense, I think, on him. He was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think that, I mean, just the scouting report, and it doesn't help that, you've played however many consecutive games in the 50s, right? It doesn't help the fact that you don't have a lot of options, right? If Honor Huff doesn't do what he did tonight, even at the free throw line, you're not winning the game. And so in a lot of ways, teams are saying you shut him down or make it really, really difficult for him, or he has a really off night, West Virginia's not going to win. And so that's just what you notice. And teams are capitalizing on that. I think that kind of stuck out. I want to say it was in the first half. UCF had 10 assists. West Virginia had 1. West Virginia only finished with 4, but UCF only finished with 12. Or maybe they didn't have all 10 in the first half, but it was first 25 minutes, they had 10 assists, and they only finished with 12. So the defense stepped up. More importantly, weak side passes, like those kind of things, you stepped up and ran out to shooters and did a really good job in the second half, where in the first half you did not. And that made a huge difference in this game.
Yeah, I agree, man. I definitely agree. It's going to be interesting for sure because, I, I just want this team to shoot a little better. It's not really a whole lot to ask, but here we are. I think whatever it is that we need to do, I'm sure Ross Hodge is working on it. This team had extra time off to try to get better at it. I think it's just like Brad says on Three Guys a lot. The data and analytics that's out this deep into the season, it's you are who you are at this point. And I think with the adjustments teams have made to West Virginia, we're just going to be in a lot of, we're going to have games where we get hotter than others still, I think, especially against teams we're more talented than. But when we're playing against teams that, what's crazy to me, I think, is what I wasn't expecting is, UCF came into this game ranked one of the worst defenses in the conference.
Yep.
Baylor was also ranked one of the worst defenses in the conference. Yet, whenever you play these teams, it's not a far stretch from when you play the elite teams. And I think that just lets you know the Big 12, it's just way tougher than people give it credit for. It is what it is, man. I don't know. And our specific limitations, I think, also play a factor into that. I was fully ready to come in here. I'll tell you this before we go. I was fully ready to come on here and start really demanding Jaden Forsyth after this game if we lost. I was really going to obviously I can't do anything about it, but
yeah,
I was gonna come on here and gripe because I was really getting with about 7 or 8 minutes. When did we turn it around? Do you remember exactly when?
Midway.
About 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Right before that, whenever we were down 10, right? We were down 10. And
Texas
it's like
Tech
there's like 8 minutes to go. We were down 14 and there was 8 minutes to go. What'd you say?
Texas Tech just beat Arizona.
They did?
Yeah, by
That's
3
2 in a row for them.
Yep. Sorry.
No, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, they lost their best player for a little bit there, so I'm not surprised to see them play well. But yeah, I mean, I think. What point was I making, Troy? I lost it.
That's me. That's on me. And to be honest, I don't know the answer.
Oh God, it's so professional, man.
3-point shooting, Jaden Forsyth.
Oh yeah. So we were down 14 there, and with about 8 minutes to go, and I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. Like, I'm going to get on here and talk about Forsyth and why, because what good is that red shirt doing him? I don't know. I don't even know why you would redshirt somebody in this day and age. I really don't, unless they're just totally not ready to play. And maybe he's not. And that's, those are the questions I don't know the answers to, but I know that I think he's made both shots he's taken this year. Maybe he's such a defensive liability compared to what everybody else is. It's hard to say, but I'll be honest. I'm shocked he's not in the rotation this year. I would have bet that he would have been in the rotation. But, I mean, just like I'm shocked that Jackson Fields isn't in the rotation. I mean, it is what it is. I think we are who we are, and we've got who we've got. And it's an interesting team. I think that, this team is a team that could get an upset in the NCAA tournament depending on who they play.
Yeah.
It just, hopefully whoever it is they play isn't a team that's really, really long on the wings or at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we're going to jump out of here on that one. Thank you so much for everything and all that. Be back tomorrow with more, and Troy as well, I'm pretty sure, is going to be recording right after this. So go over to Mountaineer Moment after this episode and see what he has to say on Mountaineer Moment, and we're going to bounce out of here. Thanks for making us your first listen, and we will see you on the next one here, guys, on Locked On West Virginia. Before we go, we got to ask you two things. The Everydayer Club is something that we have to push here, that we want to push here, that we're excited to talk about, and it's something you need to check out if you get a chance. And it's Locked On Podcasts with an S / Everydayer Club. And so I'm going to put that link in the chat now. And then also, we want you to make sure you're checking out Spencer McLaughlin over at Locked On College Football, who does an incredible job. He does play-by-play in his real life. He's got one of those voices, and I mean, it's just this deep voice. He also covers Locked On Ducks, so he does a great job over there. So for your next listen, check him out too once you get done with Troy. All right, guys, we will see you on the next one here on Locked On West Virginia tomorrow. But until then, we got to remind you, Q Country Roads.
Let's go.